And it came to be, at the end of 2 years' time, that Pharaoh had a dream, and saw him standing by the river, and saw 7 cows coming up out of the river, fine looking and fat, and they fed amongst the reeds. Then saw 7 other cows coming up after them out of the river, ugly and lean of flesh, and stood by the other cows on the bank of the river. And the ugly and lean of flesh cows ate up the 7 fine looking and fat cows. Then Pharaoh woke up, and he slept, and dreamed a second time, and saw 7 heads of grain coming up on one stalk, plump and good. And he saw 7 lean heads, scorched by the east wind, coming up after them. And the 7 lean heads swallowed the 7 plump and complete heads. Then Pharaoh awoke and saw that it was a dream. And it came to be in the morning that his spirit was moved, and he sent and called for all the magicians of Mitzrayim and all its wise men. And Pharaoh related to them his dreams, but there was no one who could interpret them for Pharaoh. Then the chief cupbearer spoke to Pharaoh, saying, I remember my crimes this day, when Pharaoh was wroth with his servants, and put me in confinement in the house of the captain of the guard, both me and the chief baker. Each one of us dreamed a dream in one night. He and I, each of us, dreamed according to the interpretation of his own dream. And there was there with us an ivory youth, a servant of the captain of the guard, and we related to him, and he interpreted our dreams for us. For each man he interpreted according to his own dream. And it came to be, as he interpreted for us, so it came to be. He restored me to my office, and he hanged him. Then Pharaoh sent and called Joseph, and they hurriedly brought him out of the dungeon. And he shaved and changed his garments, and came to Pharaoh. And Pharaoh said to Joseph, I have dreamed a dream, and there is no one to interpret it. Now I myself have heard it said of you, that you understand a dream to interpret it. And Joseph answered Pharaoh, saying, It is not in me. Let Elohim answer Pharaoh with peace. And Pharaoh said to Joseph, See, in my dream I stood on the bank of the river, and saw 7 cows coming up out of the river, fine looking and fat, and they fed amongst the reeds. Then saw 7 other cows coming up after them, poor, very ugly, and lean of flesh, such ugliness as I have never seen in the land of Mitzrayim. And the lean of flesh and ugly cows ate up the first 7, the fat cows. Yet, when they had eaten them up, no one would have known that they have eaten them, for they were as ugly as the beginning. Then I awoke. Also I looked in my dream, and saw 7 heads coming up on one stalk, complete and good. Then I saw 7 heads, withered, lean, scorched by the east wind, coming up after them. And the lean heads swallowed the 7 good heads. And I spoke to the magicians, but there was no one who could explain it to me. And Joseph said to Pharaoh, The dream of Pharaoh is one. Elohim has shown Pharaoh what he is about to do. The 7 good cows are 7 years, and the 7 good heads are 7 years. It is one dream. And the 7 lean and ugly cows, which came up after them, are 7 years. And the 7 empty heads, scorched by the east wind, are 7 years of scarcity of food. This is the word which I spoke to Pharaoh. Elohim has shown Pharaoh what he is about to do. See, 7 years of great plenty are coming to all the land of Mitzrayim, but after them 7 years of scarcity of food shall arise, and all the plenty be forgotten in the land of Mitzrayim. And the scarcity of food shall destroy the land, and the plenty shall not be remembered in the land, because of the scarcity of food following, for it is very severe. And the dream was repeated to Pharaoh twice, because the word is established with Elohim, and Elohim is hastening to do it. And now let Pharaoh look for a discerning and wise man, and appoint him over the land of Mitzrayim. Let Pharaoh do this, and let him appoint overseers over the land, to take up 1/5 of the land of Mitzrayim, in the 7 years of plenty, and let them gather all the food of those good years that are coming, and store up grain under the hand of Pharaoh, and let them keep food in the city. And the food shall be for a store for the land, for 7 years of scarcity of food, for which shall be in the land of Mitzrayim. And do not let the land be cut off by the scarcity of food. And the word was good in the eyes of Pharaoh, and in all the eyes of his servants. And Pharaoh said to his servants, Could we find another like him, a man in whom is the Ruach of Elohim? Then Pharaoh said to Joseph, Since Elohim has shown you all this, there is no one as discerning and wise as you. Be over my house, you yourself, and at your word all my people shall be equipped. Only in the throne I am greater than you. And Pharaoh said to Joseph, See, I have appointed you over all the land of Mitzrayim. And Pharaoh took his sealed ring off his hand and put it on Joseph's hand, and dressed him in garments of fine linen, and put a gold chain around his neck. And he had him ride in his second chariot which he had. And they cried out before him, Bow the knee, and he appointed him over all the land of Mitzrayim. And Pharaoh said to Joseph, I am Pharaoh, and without you let no man lift his hand or foot in all the land of Mitzrayim. And Pharaoh called Joseph's name Zadneph-Paneh, and he gave him a wife, Asenath, the daughter of Potipharah, priest of On. And Joseph went out over all the land of Mitzrayim. Now Joseph was 30 years old when he stood before Pharaoh, sovereign of Mitzrayim. And Joseph went out from the presence of Pharaoh, and went throughout all the land of Mitzrayim. And in the 7 years of plenty, the ground brought forth generously. And he gathered all the food of the 7 years, which were in the land of Mitzrayim. And he laid up the food in the cities. He laid up in every city the food of the fields which surrounded them. Thus Joseph gathered very much grain as the sand of the sea, until he ceased counting, for it was without number. And to Joseph were born 2 sons before the years of scarcity of food came, whom Asenath, the daughter of Potipharah, priest of On, bore to him. And Joseph called the name of the firstborn Manasseh, for Elohim has made me forget all my toil and all my father's house. And the name of the second he called Ephraim, for Elohim has caused me to bear fruit in the land of my affliction. And the 7 years of plenty, which were in the land of Mitzrayim, came to an end. In the 7 years, a scarcity of food began to come, as Joseph had said. And the scarcity of food was in all the lands. But in all the land of Mitzrayim there was bread. But when all the land of Mitzrayim hungered, and the people cried to Pharaoh for bread, Pharaoh said to all the Mitzrites, Go to Joseph, do whatever he says to you. And the scarcity of food was over all the face of the earth. And Joseph opened all the storehouses and sold to the Mitzrites. And the scarcity of food was severe in the land of Mitzrayim. And all the earth came to Joseph in Mitzrayim to buy grain, because the scarcity of food was severe in all the earth.